Up, it's Frano here. Uh, just having a nice beer at the moment. I'm just here to report kind of as much for myself as anyone else, but because this is a big day for me, because there's been sometimes Saturday can be tense, hence Saturn. It's kind of in the name that there's a lot of tense energy and there's a build up of kind of chaotic energy. Sorry, I'm just having a beer, so I'm feeling a bit tipsy. But basically, yeah, Saturday tends to be the day when people are in a lot more of a chaotic state, and the human free will energy is at its prime point during the week until the balance, obviously, on Sunday. But basically, yeah, I'm just gonna say. Um, I'm not going to talk about personally what's happened to me today, but there's been a few endeavours and exchanges and ego involved and all kinds of energy involved. But I'm going to talk about a positive discovery for today. A positive reinforcement in my beliefs. So, what it is basically that emotions aren't actually what we are taught as chemical reactions and a human thing. They're not actually a human thing. We might call them human emotions, but emotions are effectively just energy in motion, energies in motion. So basically, everything we seem to try and rationalize in a human scientific way has already been probably already been understood by philosophers and talked about within communities of people throughout the ages. So everything like schizophrenia, paranoia, all these things, they're kind of just modern day labels on what we already understand to be sometimes even telepathic abilities, or sometimes split personality is just actually having someone else's perspective as well as yours and not being able to deal with it very well. So to have the capability to go between perspectives is actually a skill, even though they'll say, oh, you have split personalities. And then there's a lot of celebrities in the modern day you got to watch out for. They're kind of going down the dark path and saying that they're possessed or saying that they have multiple personalities, when actually it could just be their brain or their being working out a rational way of dealing with the stresses and pressure and tension of being in a position of fame, money, and power. So that's something just to absorb for a minute. Also, it could be. Sorry, that thought is gone. But yeah, basically, emotions are energies in motion. So when you have an emotion, you notice how that emotion won't stick for too long. If you're, let's say, angry, and you're physically using this, you're gonna burn out. You're gonna burn your physical energy, and the universe is gonna humble you. But unfortunately, you've been a victim of anger in motion, anger. You've been a victim of that, and it's just using you as a vessel to express itself. Same with creativity. I mean, music uses human beings, and probably many other beings, and many other forces and beings in nature to express itself. Music and rhythm, pace, patience, pause, rhythm, melody. It's all over nature. If you ever listen to dolphins and whales, you'll hear how interesting and musical their calls are. But they don't see it. They don't call it music. We human. We have an etymology kind of basis where we try and label everything, whereas God doesn't care for this. Spirit doesn't care for this. The Creator does not really care for this. So all of this is just our rational side of the brain, because we have a rational side of the brain and a creative side of the brain. This is just the rational side of the brain that wants to the ego as well, that wants to understand everything so it can not necessarily use that to its advantage, but sometimes if we use the rational, we can organize our lives and put things to one side. Put, like when you're tidying, you put things in shelves, you put things in cupboards. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm basically going to leave it like that. I mean, I've given you quite a lot to think about here, so you got to start kind of opening your mind and start believing that emotions are actually temporary energies in motion, and how we can best deal with these and understand these. Well, the better we can do this, the more we can move on with expanding our consciousness, baby. So peace in and out. Have a nice Saturn day and enjoy the rest of the Sabbath day tomorrow. So much love, gratitude.